Where would we be without hunting dogs in this state? The times when things are a little bit rough, we use that dog's nose to get us out and find the birds. But what kind of dog is best? And that's an age-old question that hunters have. All of us have our arguments as to which dog we prefer, which one we think looks the best and works the best in the field. Well, we're going to go through a group of dogs from the Bourbon Barrel Hunt Club. We have about 7 different breeds, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night time for Michigan Outdoors. Professional dog handlers like Smoke Hunsinger on the left and Warren Cahoon on the right work with a lot of breeds. But which are their favorite bird dogs?
Any pointing dog, short hair, but the Brittany especially is my favorite.
Is that because of this particular dog? You like his personality, or do you like the breed, and why?
I like the breed. He's small, not cumbersome. Well-behaved, well-mannered dogs. Excellent noses.
What's the temperament of a Brittany like?
As long as they're away from other dogs, real well. A real good family dog.
You mean they're scrappers?
They love to fight.
Well, now, how is that a dog who loves to fight has a good personality?
I'm not sure what it is. Whether the breeding of it stems from back, I believe they were from a cattle chasing type dog. Whether or not it's from getting hit in the mouth too many times with a hoof or what, but they will fight and scrap with other dogs real quick.
But humans they're friendly with.
Yeah, they're very, very good pets, very good household pets.
Now, what is a Brittany like in the field? How does it approach birds, come on to point, and so on?
It reminds me of the English setter. It uses the wind. It will track, but it basically uses the wind up off the ground. And we'll go downwind and work back to you, which is basically the English setter's trait.
So it holds its head high?
Very high.
Well, the high head of the small Brittany is a characteristic much like English setters, larger pointing dogs with lots of class and lots of style.
Well, your English setter, long hair, excellent pointing dog, terrific as far as field trial. Can cover a lot of ground for you. Basically, you better be fast unless the dog will hold good point.
Because they cover so much ground so quickly.
Right. They are a very fast dog, and they will run over scent by being that fast.
Now, they also hold their head high, and they're scenting in the wind.
Right. They will even, I've seen them follow flight of a bird that was coming into a field. They will use the wind as it spreads out and will pinpoint a bird that way.
From the air?
From the air, as they glide into other fields.
English setters are amazing, quite popular among grouse hunters especially. But English pointers, popular in the south for quail, aren't as popular up north.
I believe they've been bred down to, for show too much to where they're very timid anymore. They don't really care for the hard cover, and they're mostly for show anymore.
So you're saying that the English pointer has sort of fallen out of favor with the hunting crowd?
You get down in quail country, I suppose you have quite an argument there, but up in the pheasant country, and this kind of hunting right here, they're too fast and too timid.
Well, English pointers have lost popularity up north, but the similar-looking German Shorthair, an often darker dog with a shorter tail, has been gaining popularity.
No, German Shorthair, they're a lot better dog. They seem to be work a lot closer than a English pointer or a setter. They seem to be a lot closer dogs. Sometimes you do get some that does get out quite a ways, but usually they'll stay in kind of close.
Now, this Shorthair is young. It's fresh in the field, romping with its head high, but when they settle down, they'll hold their noses closer to the ground than an English setter or a Brittany.
Strictly on the wind, and they'll also track.
But, a German Shorthair has a little hound blood in it.
Yeah, they'll track just as good as a lab or any type of tracking dog, really.
What about the temperament on the Shorthair?
They're not mean. Very seldom you ever see a mean one, unless they're struck by another dog. And, they'll get mean, but other than that, they're pretty well-mannered. They're a good house dog.
German shorthairs have a practical advantage with their short hair, but it doesn't keep them as warm as their cousins, German wire hares, sometimes called draught hair pointers.
It's a German short hair with longer hair. I'm not sure of the breeding, how it came about. Basically, same temperament, a little taller, a little huskier, but similar to the short hair.
But it can take a little colder weather and it can retrieve in cold weather, can it?
Right. They was built more for the retrieving end of it. They're a good dog.
What's your preference, Smoke? Short hair or wire hair?
Actually, they're about the same dog, basically. They point the same. Their heads are low. You very seldom you ever see them, their heads way up in the wind, like a setter or a English pointer. They're closer to the ground. And they got real stylish point on them. And they retrieve in water just as well as a lab. Most of them will retrieve in water real well.
German draught hares do take to the water, but they can't take cold water like a Labrador retriever. Either black or yellow, retrievers are good on upland game.
Well, the reason I like them, they're a good all-around dog. They mostly track, other than scent in the air like a pointing dog does. They mostly track and retrieve real well.
So you're going to see them go with their head toward the ground.
Actually, yeah, that's what they do. They track.
But they don't hold for a point.
No, they're not supposed to. They're real aggressive. And basically they're a brush dog. Water retrieve.
What about the temperament of a Labrador?
Mild. Until you get to a younger breed, which is like her now, she's a 2-year-old, she's quite hyper yet, so she's real aggressive as far as in the field. You have to keep right up to her. But after a lab gets a certain age, then they slow down a little bit and they're easy. Walk slow, hunt close.
Who tends to like to use labs, besides duck hunters?
Well, on preserves, and mostly everybody likes to use a lab because they're slower. And they track, you don't lose as many birds.
Well, Labradors are gaining favor by many upland hunters, but all the breeds have a place in the outdoors and as house pets. Individual training as well as breeding makes a big difference, but no matter which is your favorite, the setters, pointers, springers, or retrievers, you'll find a lot more enjoyment if you include a bird dog in your family and in your hunting in Michigan outdoors. Where's the best action right now for hunting with a bird dog? Well, I'd say the Upper Peninsula. I've gotten some real good reports up there. Dick's favorite sport says lots of grouse and woodcock in the area. Most hunters have limited out on woodcock, hitting like crazy. He's talking about the salmon. He says all around Lake Superior, they're hitting in close to shore. A report of a 500-pound plus bear up in the Keweenaw Peninsula. Good bear hunting, by the way, through the UP. Dick also says 20 to 30% leaf change right now, so it's beautiful in the Upper Peninsula. I was just there this past weekend. 425-pound bear was reported by Bayshore Resort in the Gladstone area. By the way, jot this number down for conditions up there. It's not toll-free, 906-428-1600. They'll give you reports like the Chinook fishing is excellent at the top of the Bay de Knox. DNR in Newberry reports a 585-pound bear, the biggest I've heard of so far in the state. They've checked in 63 bears. They say the two-hearted is about 1 week away from the steelhead run, 25% leaf change. Walleye are still holding up in Manasquang Bay. And Lake Cheneau Landing says around the Lake Cheneaux, the best news is the 8 to 10-inch perch. Some good size when caught up in that area. Adrian's Sport Shop at Rogers City says the fishing's real good, but they have too much water. That we find as we move downstate. Off Charlevoix, Ward's Marina says salmon are steady, some big ones, some little ones. The perch have not come in yet like they're waiting for, that big boom of perch. Now, we're down into the problem area, down the steelhead streams, the west side of the state. Emil Dean says the water level in the Manistee is a foot high. He's catching a few fish, not a lot. Coho Bob says at Pentwater, hey, if you want to catch a couple salmon, maybe a lawn chair, a piece of a picnic table, that's what they've been catching this past week. They lost a week of fishing, but out in the lake, they're picking up now with a couple salmon per boat. A 4-pound smallmouth was caught off the pier there at Pentwater. Sport Fisherman's Corner says the Muskegon is wide, wide, wide. A lot of water. Fishing's out in the lake. Captain Nichols, Don Nichols, down in South Haven, says the kings are around the piers early morning, late evening, and in the rivers. The perch, 65 feet of water, small to medium. Ray Nichols says on the other side of the state, perch by the hundreds. Walleye fishing is tapered off. Dennis Schammers at Schammers Sport Shop in Sanilac. Port San Lex is the perch are done, but the salmon are starting to move into the streams. And Gail Bedore, Gail's Bait Shop in Quanticus, he says catfish fishing is great in the cornfields. What do we have? Salmon, probably. He says they had 13.5 inches of rain up in that area, so that's wiped it out for a while in many respects. 8 to 9 inches of rain up around Houghton Lake. Dick Peterson from Chief Sports Shop says that put the fishing down. Leaf change is about 20%, so the state is starting to look beautiful. Watch the water, wear your boots, catch a big fish or get a big buck, and write to us, send in the picture so you can be in the trophy book. There's a little girl who's just thrilled to have her picture taken with this big fish. The fish is a freshwater drum or sheep's head, 15 pounds, 31 inches long. It was caught by the big guy in the picture, Ray Willozen of Saginaw. He was casting a MEP spinner off Ludington last September. In the boat helping him net the fish were his 2 sons and 6-month-old daughter, Courtney. And like I said, Courtney is obviously thrilled. 14-year-old Mike Danzer from Birch Run was pretty pleased with his trophy catch. A 34.5-inch carp, 19 3/4 pounds. He was casting a Hottentot of all things in the Cass River in Tuscola County, and this brute gave Mike a battle he won't forget. Now there's a smile only a mother tiger muskie could love. This 20-pound, 9-ounce monster, 46 inches long, was caught by Dwight Kittle from Lansing. Dwight's on the left, and he was fishing with Bob Garner's favorite pike lure, a Bill Norman spinnerbait with a trailer hook. Mecosta Lake was the location, not formerly known for tiger muskies, but it is now. Now, last year was the year pink salmon had their big run. Usually a small 2-pound fish, this pink salmon went for a spinner in the Trout River in Presque County. Weighed nearly 4 pounds, taken by Gary Heinrich from Utica. There's Leslie Gilbert from Flat Rock. She was mighty happy with this salmon. It took her 25 minutes to bring it in. Caught on a J-plug in Lake Huron. Weighed in at 14.5 pounds. Now that is not big for a king salmon, but for a coho, it was tops. That is the #1 coho caught in Michigan in 1985, just 1 year ago in September, making Leslie Gilbert our Michigan Outdoors Trophy Angler of the Week.
You know, it's funny. Nothing really in Michigan Outdoors will jangle the nerves of a sportsman quicker than an encounter with a black bear. In fact, there were several people up in the Upper Peninsula when the bear season opened last week that had these encounters, one of which was a youngster that guy Dale Robinson from Newberry told us about.
Now, we had some young hunters this year that had never hunted bear in their life, hunted deer only a couple of years. And he happened to have a site that was very tight quarters, real brushy around him. I mean, you couldn't see 5 feet from his site other than where the bear was at. And his bear came in this weekend, and it just raised all kinds of havoc with him. Shook trees, growled at him, was circling for 2 days. And his father tried talking him off that site, saying, "No, I don't want you there, it's too tight." Well, his dad went in and sat with him out of concern. And that night, the bear did come in his sight, and he... Dave was very insistent on staying on that site because he wanted to get a bear and he knew his bear was there. So in that case, he was willing to hunt by himself. He was not scared. He was scared because I even get a little jittly sometimes if the situation's right. And but he stuck it out and he was willing to take the chance of being there. He knew how to shoot his gun and that's all that mattered to him. He was there to go bear hunting and that was the chance he took to be there. But everything turned out well. He came home with a real nice 175-pound bear.
By all estimates I've been able to gather from gun dealers, handgun sales seem to be about double over last year, especially in the repeating types of handguns that are legal for hunting in southern Michigan. If you're thinking about hunting southern Michigan whitetails with a handgun this year, remember the handgun needs to be .35 caliber or larger, except black powder handguns, which must be a minimum of .44 caliber, and hunters born after December 31st, 1959 must have in their possession a hunter's safety certificate. Deer car accidents are a big, costly deal in Michigan, both in terms of injuries and deaths to motorists. There were 5 deaths in 1984. Just the cost in terms of damage to automobiles runs into the neighborhood of $45 to $50 million a year. Both the number of accidents and the accident costs are on the increase. While the official numbers are not in yet for 1985, it looks as though over 30,000 deer car accidents occurred statewide. Calhoun County alone reports 818 deer car accidents in 1984. And hunters looking for an antlerless deer permit have until September 24th, that's next Wednesday, to get them in the mail. By the way, if you're applying for an antlerless permit, be sure to follow directions and put your passbook number in the space in the upper left-hand corner of the application. Some folks have been putting their deer stamp number there in that one small space, making their application void.
You know, a lot of you call us up and write to us, and some of the questions that we hear, well, let me just go to one, which is a viewer comment we got last week, and we hear frequently, you guys don't criticize the DNR enough. Bob?
Oh, I think.
What do you say about that?
I think we criticize the DNR enough. I hope we're just able to make the differentiation between the big issues where maybe we think they're a little off base and the small issues that aren't worth mentioning. But we know, you and I know, too many folks in that department and how devoted they are to hunters and fishermen. And I just don't want to gripe for griping's sake.
I'd rather pat them on the back, give credit where credit is due, than spend all my time working them over. Nitpicking, because I tell you, they do an awful lot of good. Let's handle another one, Bob.
Another question from Dorothy Locano from Maple City. She writes, she says, I'm a senior citizen who wants to take up fishing. I live on a lake but don't know the first step to take.
Dorothy, that's what our new program, Outdoors Forever, is all about. Roger McCarville is coming up in just a moment to talk about this. This fall we'll be talking about hunting, but I think you're going to find in the Outdoor Digest in the future and on the show we're going to be addressing a number of these things, not just for senior citizens and handicappers, but everybody who wants to become more involved, learn how to fish and hunt longer in their lives. So that'll be coming up. We'll have more information for you. And now, let's see if you can answer this question in our outdoor quiz.
How large is the world's largest collection of broadhead arrows? Floyd Eccleston of Mount Pleasant, Michigan has collected and displayed over 1,500 different manufactured and homemade broadheads that date back to 1912, verified by the American Broadhead Collectors Club as the largest collection of its kind in the world.
Hunting season is finally here. A lot of us have looked forward to it for a long time. Some of you may be looking forward to it, but you think, oh, it's going to be cold out there. My arthritis is acting up. I just don't think I had better get outdoors the way I had before. If you're like Roger, you have an artificial leg right there.
I have a little helper here to get me out in the woods.
Now, Roger, you lost your legs how long ago?
10 years ago, I fell off a boat and lost the legs, and I still wanted to hunt and fish and get out in the wilderness, and I find that the chair and the lake can get me out there.
Roger McCarville is becoming here the #1 man in Outdoors Forever, our new organization we put together. Rog, you're going to be holding some meetings, conducting some seminars at our Hunters Workshop. Rod showed me a magazine a little bit ago. I want to share some of the pages with you. It's called Sports and Spokes. I had never heard of it.
A lot of people haven't heard of it.
A lot of people haven't. It has to do with competitive sports mainly, but look at this. Thumbing through, I found an article called Hunting Again about a fellow who lost the use of his legs and he wanted to continue hunting, made an adaptation to his wheelchair for his gun.
Electric wheelchair, he went out in a pickup truck, made an adaptation for his gun, and got himself a trophy elk.
Now, in the world of fishing, electronic fishing reels, a number of them have been invented. We get questions on the show. Where can I get something to help me reel in? This fellow here made one himself. There's people who have made adaptations to boats. This guy was a bass fisherman, became disabled. He had a boat adapted on the front so he could wheel himself in, tie down his chair, and continue his love of bass fishing. Too many people give up, Raj.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to give up. They give up even with some aches and pains, let alone situations like this.
There's outdoor sports. There's kayaking, water skiing, going down the wilderness trying to get down there to do some fishing. The new sport, scuba diving.
Scuba diving. And these are people who have, I suppose you'd say, great difficulty. They have to get adaptations such as a release aid for the bow or a special way to hold that bow up. And this isn't just confined to quadriplegics and paraplegics.
No.
It's something that a lot of people have difficulty with. They write us questions. That's why we formed Outdoors Forever, one of the reasons.
Right. People have made adaptations to things, and it's hard to tell everybody one-on-one, but here in our Outdoors Forever program with the magazine, we can spread the word and tell them how do I adapt for my type of disability, and they can share all that.
Dorothy DeMol from Coopersville sent us this. This is, well, it wasn't a winner in our recipe contest, but I'll tell you, I know from the ingredients, well, without even tasting it, it's a prize winner.
Can I go first here?
Pheasant King Ranch casserole.
Well, it's your turn, kid.
I have this habit of dishing it out for Bob first.
It's understandable.
Cheese in here.
Oh,
looks
all
good.
kinds
Pheasant. You got too much there, Kathy.
Oh, no, I don't. I think I can handle this.
Well, these are the tortillas.
Right.
That's what that is. This is sort of a Mexican type of dish.
Be great served with chips.
Oh, and it has some spicy foods and plenty of them in here.
It is. It's different.
That Rotel,
That
tomatoes
has
and
green
chilies?
chilies in it.
Oh, great
and then
stuff.
you've got the taco cheese, which also has taco seasoning in it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's got the tortilla chips, or the shells.
Tortillas,
Right.
yeah.
You got 2 cans of soup. You got mushroom and cream of chicken. And then you've got your green vegetables. You got green pepper and onion, celery.
Boy, look at that pheasant.
Oh, hey, listen, this little pheasant was really fat.
It was well fed.
It was, very.
Basically, we might as well reveal this came off of a game farm here recently. And it's just about like a chicken.
Oh, it
It's
was.
got to be tasty.
Cutting it up, it looked like a chicken. It was very good.
What'd you just put in there?
Just
Yeah,
water.
Just water?
Yep. Now these are going to fry all together here, or boil all together here.
Your cut up pheasant, onions, celery,
Right.
and
That's it. That's all
That's
that's
it?
going to cook in there. Now you're going to make a base here with the 2 cans of soup and the cheese. That's kind of a sauce. This is what is going to give it your saucy flavor.
Oh, the green pepper
And the
goes
green
in
pepper,
with that.
right, rather than in with the vegetables that you boil. And then a whole package of cheese.
Now, meanwhile, the pheasant and the celery and all are
It's
boiling.
cooking, right. Okay, now that's a little bit of stock that we took out of the pheasant. You're going to spread just a little bit of this because you don't want your taco shells to stick to the bottom of your dish. You're going to kind of layer this. And this whole casserole is layered all the way throughout. So it's not all one flavor at one time.
And there's the cooked pheasant pieces and the celery and the onions.
Right.
Spread a little layer on there.
And then you got your soups and your cheese here and green pepper.
Huh, that sounds like it might be a good dip.
Oh,
there.
absolutely. That's what I thought when I was fixing it.
Another
another
layer
layer.
of tortillas. The flour, soft flour tortillas.
Absolutely. You don't want the hard ones.
With more of the pheasant pieces.
Yeah.
And of course, when you have the pieces of pheasant, you take out all the ligaments and all
Right. They're all
which
done.
are sometimes a
Yep,
problem
it's
in the back
deboned.
legs.
Yes.
And
And then
the
you're going to
celery.
pour a whole can afterwards of the Rotel tomatoes all over the top of the whole thing.
Mm-mm. Those are spicy.
They
and
are in themselves.
tasty.
Like I say, it has little green chilies in it. And a little bit more of the broth. You want the broth to come about halfway up on the dish because this is going to cook down quite a bit. So you don't want it to
And here it is.
stick.
Our pheasant casserole. Are you ready for some more here, Bob?
I'll tell you what, I hit some of the green stuff.
Chilies.
Fred. And frankly, I need a beer. Whoa. Whoa.
I thought we weren't going to make it.
did I.
It's on with the show, folks. Do you want some
This
more
is
of this?
not makeup. My face is red.
Look at all the tomatoes in here, Bob.
Did you put them all in one corner or
No,
something?
I really didn't.
This is called Pheasant King Ranch Casserole.
It's great. It's good. But I need a beer.
It's spicy. Oh, well, I
Spicy
tell you.
but scrumptious.
Dorothy DeMol, you had a winner right there. Folks, if it's a little cool this weekend, try some Pheasant King Ranch Casserole and get outdoors. It's a great place to be. We'll see you next week. What about the temperament of a Labrador?
Mild. Until you get to a younger breed, which is like her now, she's a 2-year-old. She's quite hyper yet, so she's real aggressive as far as in the field. You have to keep right up to her. But after a lab gets a certain age, then they slow down a little bit and they're easy. Walk slow, hunt close. And mostly everybody likes to use a lab because they're slower. And they track. You don't lose as many birds.